Hello, dear friends. Again, Ken Graves here with GodSword. Tuesday, September 17, the year 2024. We continue today in Amos, the 7th chapter. And some of you might write to me that I need a haircut. I'm overdue. Looking homeless. It probably will get worse. For I have decided to keep more hair. As a matter of fact, this summer, building being outdoors every single day in the sun, these big old earlobes of mine, they're out there. They're out there like solar panels, and they're just getting baked. So since I'm really not much of a hat guy, I can't stand hats much. It seemed, since I do have hair, that I might as well just grow it back over the top of my ears at least. Anyway, we'll see where it ends, this keeping more hair. But anyway, just trying to get ahead of your emails. Chapter 7, Amos, verse 1. Thus Lord Yahweh showed me, and behold, he was forming a locust swarm when the spring crop began to come up. And behold, the spring crop was up after the king's mowing. And it happened, when it had completed eating the vegetation of the land, that I said, Lord Yahweh, please pardon. How can Jacob rise up, for he is small? Yahweh relented concerning this. It shall not be, said Yahweh. So the very first thing that Amos tells us here is that God showed him. It was in a vision that God allowed Amos to see this thing that had not happened, that was a potential future. A great horrifying locust swarm that would consume everything. And when this consumption happened, when this locust plague would take place, was after the portion of every harvest that was given to the government. So before the next harvest, leaving the people, an agricultural people, leaving them with nothing. The locusts that just come and consume everything. This drove Amos to a desperate prayer. Lord, please pardon. And Yahweh relented. And Yahweh said, it shall not be. Verse 4. Thus Lord Yahweh showed me, and behold, Lord Yahweh was calling to contend with them by fire, and it consumed the great deep and began to consume the farmland. Then I said, Lord Yahweh, please stop. How can Jacob rise up, for he is small? Yahweh relented concerning this. This too shall not be, said Lord Yahweh. So the next form of judgment, the next expression of judgment, came in the form of a consuming fire, dreadful fire, that was consuming everything. And Amos, the prophet Amos, in his vision, becomes eyewitness to this, which did not happen, but was a potential future. The Lord Yahweh relented. Verse 7, thus he showed me, and behold, the Lord was standing by a wall made with a plumb line, and in his hand was a plumb line. And Yahweh said to me, what do you see, Amos? And I said, a plumb line. Then the Lord said, behold, I'm about to put a plumb line in the midst of my people Israel. I will pass over them no longer. The high places of Isaac will be destroyed, and the sanctuaries of Israel laid waste. Then I will rise up against the house of Jeroboam with the sword. So the judgment that would come, and you'll note here, there's no follow-up with Amos saying, please no, or please stop, and Yahweh relenting. No, the sword was going to come. The sword, which was certainly better than famine, less bad than the famine, induced by a locust plague consuming every green thing. The sword was less bad than a consuming fire that left nothing. The sword, an invading army, generally doesn't consume everything. They conquer, they take slaves. It's horrible, but it's less bad. It is an expression, believe it or not, receive it or not, it is an expression of God's mercy toward Israel. So the plumb line, it is the reference point whereby you can tell that long before the invention of a bubble level, it allows you to tell whether something is plumb or whether it's level horizontally, plumb vertically. A weight hanging at the end of a string. It because of gravity, provides a straight vertical line that everything that is not vertical is contrasted with it. You can measure, is it plumb or is it off? Is it not plumb? And so God, implying that he has measured, they're off. And in God's statement, I won't pass over them anymore. I'll pass over them no longer. You remember in Egypt, the Passover, how they celebrated the angel of death passing over. Here's God saying, I'm not going to pass over. The high places of Isaac will be desolated. And the sanctuaries of Israel laid waste. And also, God said, I will rise up against the house of Jeroboam with a sword. So Jeroboam, he has led them in this idolatry. His dynasty comes to an end. So, verse 10, then Amaziah, the priest of Bethel. So the priest of Bethel, now you recognize at this point in Israel's history, their divided kingdom, and the northern kingdom has established two centers of religious worship, but it's pagan. They have imitated, to some degree, the altar of God in Jerusalem. They have replicated the priest system, the sacrificial system, but they have built false gods, calves, golden calves that they in the north are worshiping. And Amaziah is a priest of that corrupt and pagan system. He sent word to Jeroboam, king of Israel, saying, Amos has conspired against you in the midst of the house of Israel, and the land is unable to endure all his words. For thus Amos says, Jeroboam will die by the sword, and Israel will certainly go from its land into exile. Then Amaziah said to Amos, Go, you seer, flee away to the land of Judah, and there eat bread, and there do your prophesying. But no longer prophesy at Bethel, for it is a sanctuary of the king and a royal house. Amos's answer is humble. Then Amos answered and said to Amaziah, I'm not a prophet, nor am I the son of a prophet. For I'm a herdsman and a grower of sycamore figs. Amos's answer is that he didn't volunteer for this. He's a tender of sheep and a pruner of fruit trees. But, he says, but Yahweh took me from following the flock. And Yahweh said to me, Go, prophesy to my people Israel. So now hear the word of Yahweh. You're saying, you shall not prophesy against Israel, nor shall you drop out words. against the house of Isaac. It's one of the rarest times in the Old Testament where Israel is referred to as the house of Isaac. Well, therefore, thus says Yahweh. There's judgment against Amaziah for applying the pressure to silence the prophet. He said, thus says Yahweh, your wife will play the harlot in the city. Your sons and your daughters will fall by the sword, and your land will be divided up by a measuring line. And you yourself will die upon unclean land. Moreover, Israel will certainly go from its land into exile. Amos does not cower, and Amos does not compromise. Amos makes it plain. These prophecies of judgment are going to be fulfilled. Times will be desperate, so desperate that Amaziah, you corrupt priest, your wife, will be forced into harlotry in the attempt to survive. Your sons and your daughters will fall by the sword. This invading army is going to kill your family. Your land will be divided up by a measuring line. And Israel, you yourself, you will die in an unclean land, and Israel is going into exile. So he reinforces what Yahweh had told him to say. So that is the deal. You really don't have an option if you're under orders from the top, God Most High. There is no one above him. There is no one above his word. There is no king, no priest, no government, no power on earth. There is nothing. There is no one that is not subject to the word of God. So Amos delivers his message. May we be likewise that clear. May we be that courageous, that uncompromising, and have that same level of clarity as we speak on behalf of Yahweh. Well, there's your study for today, and we'll pick up with chapter 8 the day after tomorrow, the Lord willing, okay? So the upload tomorrow on this very same platform will come from the lectures delivered to the Calvary Residential Discipleship and Blessed Hope and our midweek service, but on Thursday, chapter 8, okay? You can write me, kengraves@ccbangor.org, if you have a need. If there's a question or comment or anything like that, okay? Grace and peace to you all.